Welcome, everyone. I'm Linda with the DVC Resale Market, and I'm so excited for episode 7 of the wonderful World of DVC show. This is all about cruises, but of course, we've got great updates, wonderful prizes. But do as I do. Lean back in your easy chair, put those beach Crocs on, grab that beach blanket, and get ready for a wonderful episode number 7. Wow. Hey, Derek. What was that?
That was my Disney Cruise Line horn impression. Wasn't it great?
Oh, not very.
No, great. All right, then. Bon voyage, everybody.
Bon voyage, guys.
Daddy, look, a giraffe. I can't believe we can walk through the castle.
It starts with a spark, alive in our hearts, a chance to build your legacy. To go to magical places with smiling faces and value and trust you can see. When it's buying or selling, renting or lending, there's a wonderful dwelling with wishes unending. You'll save a lot when you believe. So go with the team who'll achieve your dream. Enter the world of DVC.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering the world of DVC, the ultimate DVC destination where magical vacations meet incredible value through exceptional service. Put in your headphones, turn the volume up, sit back, relax, and step into the world of DVC.
Just wish on a star. Enter the world of DVC.
Derek,
What?
Hey,
we're on.
What? Hey,
come on.
where am I?
Look alive.
Episode 7 of the World of
Episode
DVC
7.
show.
Oh my God, that's right. This is the cruise show. You're not going to believe this, but I dreamt I was sleeping on the beautiful adult-only beach on Serenity Bay at Castaway Cay.
Well, you're not.
Sorry
you're
to wake
here.
you up from that dream.
You're here at
Wasn't that
episode
good,
7
though?
of the World of DVC.
Wasn't that good?
Yes.
Didn't you believe it?
I mean,
did.
I'm like an actor.
I thought you were a singer.
Actor, singer, you name it. I can do both of those things terribly.
You're like a double, triple threat.
I will say, in the theme of this being our cruise episode, one of my
Right.
favorite cruise memories is Derek doing karaoke to Piano Man. Because that was probably, I mean, I've seen it a couple times. It's epic.
I
Gotta love
have
Billy
heard,
Joel.
yes. That's why we're so excited about this show, because we're going to take you behind the scenes of what it was like to basically live and work and sell the magic of Disney Vacation Club.
Didn't you sing that karaoke in front of Michael Buble? Didn't
You
you
did?
sing in front of Michael Buble?
Oh my God, I did. It's honest to God a true story.
It is a true story.
Real life
Yeah.
Michael Buble? Or
Yeah.
like
Michael
actor
Buble
Michael
was
Bublé?
in the booth. I was on stage
And this
doing
is a
piano-
crowd of like 15 people.
15 people.
It was an intimate
It was
audience.
Intimate setting.
It was your typical booming nightlife there on a
Wow.
Disney cruise ship. And
But you
yes,
had Michael Buble in the audience?
yeah, we didn't realize it until afterwards, because then I went up there and I sang Piano Man, which I will from time to time, you know, someone
Every karaoke
pull my
night.
leg, twist my arm, whatever it is. But then I finished it because I kind of did it with, like, you know, props and bring tables on stage. Because if I'm going to do it, I'm going all
I know,
in.
you do. Yeah, you go
So I
big or
did
go
it, and I finished, and I'm walking away, and I see in the corner booth was Michael Buble, and he was laughing hysterically, which I took as a compliment, I think, because it means he enjoyed my performance, is what I'm trying to think. So
Does he know about your World of DVC jingle?
no.
No? Yeah. Maybe you should send him your demo tape.
Yeah, I'll be like, that guy? That guy?
I'm really disappointed that I know all about your shirt from 1991, but I never knew the Michael Buble story.
I completely forgot about the
Wow.
Michael Buble
We
story.
bring up new things
That's
every
incredible.
episode.
That
That's
is
what's going to
incredible.
be great about this show, and that's why we're so excited. So welcome
Yes.
back, everybody, to episode number 7 of the
Lucky
World
7.
of DVC show. This one's all cruise, as you can see. If
of
you
my
haven't
favorites.
already tuned out already at hearing me by Karaoke Stories and Michael Buble. Well, stay tuned because the stories get better, because we're going to share with you what it was honestly like. And this is what we love, is what was it like to spend so much time on hundreds and hundreds of cruises on, not only just selling the magic of Disney Vacation Club, but what was it like behind the scenes? Because we get asked that all of the time. So we're super excited. We have a very special guest with us as well. We have the amazing Linda Smit from the DVC Resale Market. I like to call her my cruise wife, because we probably spent over a year together, I think, on the ship selling the magic of DVC. So I cannot wait to have her come here. And I have told her specifically stories that she is not allowed to tell. So.
They will not air on this episode.
You already blew it with the Michael Buble story.
It's a great story.
That is a great story.
Welcome back. And I know we were so excited by your response to the 50th anniversary show. So that was so heartwarming and just awesome.
We got so many great reviews and literally, we have a text chain going back and forth, and some of them, my goodness, like, I was tearing up because some of the reviews are so sweet, and we're so, like, happy to be part of your families, being able to kind of tune into your living rooms with this show once a month. So thank you for having us. Thank you for your feedback. We love to hear from you.
It reminded me, too, of, like, the world feels so heavy right now, right? And I feel like we experienced light that day, and I felt so blessed to be able to bring it to the show. And Marissa's right. We had a couple families say, we set up our dinner time around your show. We plan our breakfast time around your show, and that just it's touching. And we cried about 45 times, reading those reviews. We read them all, and we are so touched by all of them. And that was an incredibly special show. Debbie Dane Brown has written me a few times saying thank you, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Highlight.
She was definitely the highlight. But we have our winner.
Yes.
We have our winner
Yes.
of the grand prize, the 50th Sparkly Basket, and
complete with a private karaoke concert by me.
I don't know that they knew that, but
Hold on, she just rejected the prize.
Yes, but it is a wonderful family from Louisiana, and so we want to give a big shout out to Ellen and Greg Dunn from Louisiana. Congratulations, they are so excited. So hopefully you have your gift basket and all of your fun prizes, and just feel the magic that
we're going to
bring
send
to you.
it to you, right? They don't have to get on a plane and come down and pick
I think
up
they
the
would have.
gift basket.
I don't think they would have
sure they
minded
would have
coming
loved
down
to
to
get on the
get
plane.
it. I think that they would have absolutely loved popping in to retrieve it, and we would have loved to have met them, and maybe we will someday. But
that's
we
awesome.
sent that over to them.
Future giveaway.
Yeah.
So excited.
We do want to continue kind of that theme of giving away, but also giving back, right? So we are in the month of November this month, and of course, with Thanksgiving right around the corner, one thing that we wanted to do and really make this episode special, because we do know that so many of you participate, whether that is subscribing to our channels or those comments or the thumbs up, but we really wanted to make that kind of a more significant impact. So we got together with our team and our leadership, and we would love to give away as much as we possibly can to Give Kids the World as kind of our giving away month of November. So what we're going to do, and we're going to partner with you, our audience, on this. So please tune in, please listen, because the more participation involved, the better it is for this giveaway to Give Kids the World. But basically, we're going to keep it very simple. If you subscribe and you haven't subscribed already to our YouTube channel, we are going to give $10 to Give Kids the World on your behalf. If you give us a thumbs up, $10 to Give Kids the World on this episode or previous episodes. So we'll keep track of how many thumbs up we're getting throughout the month of November. If you leave us a comment, we're going to give $10 to Give Kids the World. If you do an Apple Podcast review, we're going to give. So we're going to be monitoring that through the month of November. And then come December, we'll be able to give, hopefully, a nice big check to Give Kids the World and giving back through this month.
Give Kids the World is so incredibly special. It's a local village that's been around the Central Florida community for a long time, right? I think over 30 years. And it's a beautiful village of like storybook characters kind of coming to life. And it's children who are sick and families who want to come here and just escape the medical rooms and conversations and bills and everything for just some joy and happiness. And so it's a charity that means so much to all of us, being former Disney cast members and now part of World of DVC. They do the Million Lights. The Million Lights now, the Osborne Spectacle of Lights are now at the Give Kids the World Village. So it's a super special charity. Yeah, it's great.
It's great. And if we have folks out there too as well, which is what I asked Marissa right before we went on the air, I said, well, what if someone already has, maybe left us a iTunes review, or maybe they've done this or done that. Again, this is a whole new episode, right? So you get to start all over again. Yeah. So again, hit that thumbs up button. There's $10. Right? Write a nice comment. There's another $10. So that's what's great. So we are so appreciative, and we're so excited for this chance to do something awesome the month of November, which is great. And of course, we're still going to reward those folks that do it with a prize.
Oh, yeah. We didn't forget
prizes. Yes, exactly.
Kerri went out and got us a fabulous new 50th gift basket. So we're going to pick one of you who participate this month. Again, whether it's a comment or a thumbs up, just make sure you email us. It's very simple. We do this every month, so very easy. info@worldofdvc.com. Just make sure you give us your name and your mailing address. And we're going to pick one lucky winner this month as well to give away our Thanksgiving 50th anniversary gift basket.
How awesome is that? So you get to do an amazing thing for an amazing organization and have a chance to win a magical gift basket hand put together by the Walt Disney World former ambassador.
Oh, wow. Yes, no pressure.
Yeah, it just got real.
You better make it good.
It's good. It's a lot of fun stuff, and it's all the 50th stuff, so it's fantastic.
Also in the month of November, we have a birthday.
My God.
Mickey Mouse's birthday.
The birthday boy.
Yes, but we also have Derek's birthday. So I figured we'd start early in our celebration. So I brought you a gift.
This was not planned, by the way.
No, it wasn't, because I don't have a gift.
No one knows what's inside.
I'm your gift, Derek.
She's just full of trying to surprise me today with everything. Makes me scared what's going to happen.
Oh, my goodness.
My birthday's coming up November 18th. Share the same birthday as that magical Mr. Mickey Mouse.
It all started with a mouse, and this all started with Derek.
So this is exciting, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me open it up. Here we go.
Make sure you scrunch that in front of the mic a little more.
Yeah. I'm so nervous. Are you nervous?
No way. You did not find
I found it.
Oh my God, like seriously?
I'm a crazy car person.
Oh my God, you have to see what it is. So this we talked about, I think it was episode probably number 1.
I think 3.
Episode number 1, 2, 3.
The East Coast, West Coast.
Yes.
Yes. Where I was envious because I said, Andy was here. And of course, there's Andy from Toy Story. So everyone knows, and everybody has all these, magical Disney characters that they can find in all these movies. And I was like, I don't have one. And Marissa's like, actually, you do. And I said, I do. She's like, yeah, there's actually a Cars character called Derek Williams. Now, was Derek Williams in a movie?
Yeah, he's one of the reporters from Cars 1 and Cars 2. But what's great is I love, because Derek is holding a mic. So if you go to Derek's profile on our website, on DVCResaleMarket.com, and you see he's holding up a microphone.
This has a little boom mic.
Yes.
Oh my God, it does.
It has a boom mic. Oh my
This gets better and better. Look at
it
that.
Does.
Zoom in on that. Look at that. You see the little boom mic? That is awesome. That's so sweet. Thank you.
Oh, Marissa totally upstaged me. Now I have to buy you the real car.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do
How
that.
do you compete with that?
That is awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're
That's
welcome.
So sweet.
Happy
I want
early
to find a way to
birthday.
put it right here for the rest of the show, I think. I'm going to rest it right here. And this is the month of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're so excited for Thanksgiving. And do you have some traditions? Like, what are you looking forward to do on Thanksgiving?
I'm an early Christmas celebrator. Now, I'm not a Christmas in July celebrator at all, but I am an early Christmas celebrator. And so I do like to put my Christmas tree up and all my Christmas decorations. And I feel like Thanksgiving can just kind of infuse, we can be thankful around the Christmas tree. So this month I put up all my Christmas decorations, but our Thanksgiving, I grew up in New England, and we always had a big celebration with my dad's side of the family, and football's on, and my hometown of Melrose, Massachusetts, the football team always played Wakefield, Massachusetts. So that was a big rivalry. So when I think back to Thanksgivings, I think of it being cold, rainy, crisp. I really don't like it when it's 85 degrees in Orlando. I like to be in my fall sweaters and everything and boots, but just sitting around the table and having the entire family there, and the pies and the desserts, and it was very traditional. For us growing up. But one of the things that I always remember on Thanksgiving is growing up in the 80s, we always would bring out the home videos. And I was one of the youngest in my family out of all these cousins. So I was always really sad that I never made it into the home videos because they took these like in the 70s when I really wasn't around. Well, I was, but I was really little. But anyway, so sitting around the TV and watching these home videos, and it's exactly what you think. Like it's all crackly and then finally I remember like when I was like, "Who's the baby?" They're like, "That's you. You finally made it." I was like, "Oh, somebody finally edited this to put me in." So just that warmth of family and watching the home videos. And now, things are different now, but instead of watching an old home video, now we pull up videos on our phones and be like, look at how young the kids were or what we did, how we decorated the table. So it's a big deal in my family. The holidays, we love to decorate the tables and just kind of do it all up really big. So I love to do that. I just love to be around the family and friends and just kind of have a very traditional Thanksgiving and then watch Christmas movies that night and then bam, it's Christmas Black Friday shopping.
That's what we do. That's what we always did growing up, too, because you grew up in the Northeast.
Yes.
So you're used to cold. I grew up right outside Chicago in Indiana, Hoosier. So, Thanksgiving were always that chilly. It was that time where you put on the sweaters and the jackets. And here in Florida, we moved here about 7 years ago, I think. So now it gets super exciting when it dips into like 75. And you're like, I think it's time to break out the sweater. I'm going to put my jeans on and my sweater. But that's why every Thanksgiving we love to be able to go up to Asheville, North Carolina, which is where my dad lives. And so just going up there, being in the mountains, having it at least be in like in the 30s and 40s. Yeah. So nothing too awful. Like I'm not going to head back up there when it's like, negative 20, anything. But just that feeling of just being with family around the holidays. And that's just why Thanksgiving to me is always just so special because before you know it, it always seems like it starts with Halloween and then boom.
It's Thanksgiving.
So then fast. Boom. It's Christmas and then boom, it's all over.
It's all over. I know. I never realized too as a kid like how quick Thanksgiving was after Halloween. Yeah. I think it felt like it took forever, but now as an adult you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah. It's Halloween and then bam, it's the holidays.
Yeah,
but
right.
It's just a nice time to be with your family.
Yeah.
So
I'm from the West Coast, so we've got the whole United
We've
States,
got everything covered.
Region covered here. It did in California get cool for Thanksgiving, not like Florida, but very much like you, Kerri. It was big family get-togethers. That was kind of our big on my dad's side of the family where we'd all get together. My dad was a football coach. My uncle was a football coach, so it was just football, and that was our Thanksgiving. It continues.
That's probably why you like football so much.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
But it was funny because we had kind of gone through and prepared for this show trying to figure out like Thanksgiving traditions. And funny enough, I would say probably my most common tradition throughout my adult years. I actually spent 9 years on Disney Cruise Line over Thanksgiving. So I've spent 9 different Thanksgivings on a Disney ship.
On the
boat?
Wow.
On the ship.
Like on the actual holiday?
On the actual holiday. 9 Thanksgivings.
Were you normally working?
On it? Yeah. So I started working on Cruise Line in 2007 up until 2017. And out of those 10 years, 9 Thanksgivings were spent on Disney cruise ships.
Did you even know what to do on the one you weren't on a boat? Like, were you just wandering around aimlessly? Like, where do I go? I'm so used to being on a ship on Thanksgiving.
Well, I don't know how to cook Thanksgiving, that's for sure. I got on the ships when I was 21, so those formative years where you're supposed to learn how to
Where's my food?
We start with like the turkey dinner, and then the evening you might have like the lobster special. So. I have high expectations for cruise food.
So her and her husband just sat at a table.
And waited.
And just waited.
So being that this is a cruise episode, I thought that's perfect.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so I started Cruise Line 2007. Wow. And so when I started Cruise Line, I was actually a crew member.
Right.
So it wasn't like working for Disney Cruise Line through like being a guest on board or cast on business. And so what we would do as the crew is we would actually go train in Toronto for 2 months out of the year. We'd get flown up to Canada. We got our own apartment while we were there, which is pretty amazing.
I never knew that.
So yeah, we lived in Toronto. We had our own private apartments right there in the city. You had your own like subway pass paid for by Disney.
Training you for what?
To perform on the ships.
Oh, to perform.
Yeah, for all the entertainers and performers.
That's right.
So that was super cool, but I think they slowly like adjusted you into like reality. So you'd start out in like your own private apartment in Toronto, and then we went to Walt Disney World to train for Traditions, which is kind of like the formative Disney like steps of how to be a Disney cast member. And so then we had to share a room at All Stars. So they were kind of like slowly getting us prepared. And then we got on the ships. Funny. And I remember my roommate and I, now again, we're girls, 21 years old. This is our first like big like career job. And we have bags of luggage, like bags. And we walk into our room on the ship first day, and we push our luggage in, and there's nowhere to walk in the room.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the rooms are, they're like probably as big as this table, and I'm being generous.
Do you have a picture of them or no?
I gotta see if I can find it. We literally, the two of us, got into our room, set our luggage down, sat on the floor, and started sobbing. And I wish I was exaggerating.
Apartment. Like, what are we going to do?
She was literally crying, saying, "I want to go back to the All-Star."
So yeah, that was, and again, I was out thinking it was a 6-month contract 10 years later, but definitely being on the cruise side was very unique because you have set times to even eat. Like there would be nights where we'd finish the show late and we'd be late to dinner, and there would be like very little food left. So it's a very just interesting dynamic being on that complete cruise side where you're in a tiny bunk room, 2 or 3 people in the room, where you're at the mess where you're going to eat. And so it was very unique, very interesting, but it was fun to kind of go through the different channels of cruise. Yeah. Going from there to then working with my husband, we were third-party contractors as shopping guides, and then DVC. So crazy.
You did so many different disciplines on the ship, like really like the entertainment, and then third party, like you said. So, and then being the shopping guide, which any cruise I ever sailed on, I always was like, I need to be friends with the shopping guide girl, because that would be like my dream job. Because I always wanted to be like a presenter on QVC, and I always thought that would be like right up my alley. So if I had known Marissa, I totally would have like followed you around. Yes, exactly.
Would you like to try out and sell this car to everyone?
Maybe, yeah. It has a boom mic, so I mean it sells itself. But see, I love that you got to experience really like such a well-rounded cruise experience. Yeah. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, which is awesome, because that's what's so different about, when we started, because you were a full-fledged crew member.
Right.
Yes.
Whereas when we were with Disney Vacation Club, we were what is it called? Cast on Business. Cast on Business, which is why we're excited, because we have a very special guest that we are so honored and so thrilled to be able to finally have come and join us on the show today. She sold Disney Vacation Club on the ships. So that's how I was blessed to be able to get to know her, and that's how Marissa got to be able to know her. And then she finally was able to join our team after working at Disney, I think, for 57 years. I think at Disney. I think she's going to throw something at me. But she is truly one of the queens of Disney Vacation Club, and we're just so excited and honored to have her here, because we wanted just to share stories, because we get asked all the time, like, what was it like? Even when we would meet guests to learn about DVC, they just wanted to know what it was like. Like, what was our day-to-day life like? What was it like when you're on these ships and working and living? So, without further ado, let's welcome Linda Smit to the show.
My cruise husband, cruise sister. I mean, this is like old times, right?
It's so nice to see you on dry land, right?
I know, it feels so odd, after all those cruises. I think, 206.5 years.
Wow.
You know what? I know we're going to get into like your history, Linda, and all that, but seeing you guys here together right now, I'm going to change up the show. But for real, what I think we have to do as we close out the show is you have to do the Auntie Linda story.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's
the
hilarious.
shoulda, coulda, woulda family. Like, I see you two together, and I'm just waiting to hear like your cruise. These guys were like the cruise presentation king and queen of DVC, and they had some of the best stories. But before we jump into working on Cruise Line and DVC, Linda, tell us about your DVC journey.
Oh my gosh, Marissa, I got to tell you, of course, we don't have all day, but to kind of do a Reader's Digest version, moving to Florida, what to do, right? And my husband said, gosh, they're building something down in Vero Beach. And I'm like, well, I have no idea what timeshare is about. I have no clue. And so he said, but you've got to go down there. So I went down and interviewed, and long story longer, they hired me, and I was the grand opening team for Disney's Vero Beach Resort back in 1995.
My favorite.
And it was a magical experience. And then, clock forward, I got to work at every single Disney Vacation Club sales center in Walt Disney World because they brought us over to Orlando after about 6.5 years there, and then got to do that. And then the years
so
just
you
kept
worked
going.
at then, like, so when the Boardwalk had a sales center, you were there.
I was grand opening
Every single one.
Boardwalk,
Wow.
every single one of them. I mean, at Boardwalk, it was hilarious because we were in a little trailer out in back of the main building, and we'd walk out of our little trailer and into these beautiful models and out on the boardwalk. And nobody knew we were in a little trailer, but it was great. And then whatever came after that, and Wilderness Lodge and Beach Club, it was incredible. It was a whirlwind. Saratoga Springs was kind of a main hub, and then I just started getting an inkling for maybe something a little different. My total tenure at Disney was 25 years, which never looked back. But, the last 6.5 years, how to go into that was like just looking for just a different page.
Right.
Something where I could use more of my talents because I had a presentation talents growing up and went to school to study opera way back when and wanted to do shows and
Opera?
heard about it. Yeah. Can you believe that? Don't have the diaphragm, hint, hint. That I used
Michael
to.
Buble would not laugh at Linda, I bet.
Michael would know what that is. And so, it was kind of an inquiry. It happened by accident. I went and talked to the sales manager, and there was an opening, and you were coming, and they needed two.
And that was at a time, too, when there was a cruise team per se, right? But it was much different because when, of course, the cruise line started, there was only one ship, and there was the Magic. And I remember a lot of folks from that original cruise line team. Linda,
Yes.
I'm sure you remember them.
Oh, yes.
It was like the Wild West back then, right? They didn't have an office. They didn't have anything. I think they would
No
literally...
script,
no
no
script. There was
do
no
anything.
show. They would just meet with guests on the boat, talk to them about Disney Vacation Club, kind of the same way that they always did on land, but they'd be on the ship. And then they'd say, well, yeah, let's share some numbers. And then they'd literally have to go down, I think, to like their staterooms, right? Like back in the old days. I mean,
Back
it was
in the old days.
crazy. They had just briefcases and they would leave these sailings of 3 nights and 4 nights coming home with just stacks of contracts. I remember hearing
incredible.
stories. I remember Linda even sharing a story where she would see these cruise guides like coming back from the ship and she'd see them walk into our contract department and just drop these like stacks of contracts off, and she probably was
was
like,
wild.
what the heck?
Now, were these like computerized printed out ones or these handwritten
I
contracts?
think they're probably handwritten contracts. So our poor contract team was probably...
That was really old days. That was really old.
And then that's what made it so neat, is that was so successful. And then they kept adding more and more ships. And I think that's when they really took a look, right, at saying, how can we maximize,
Yes.
we've got all of these ships and how can we do that? And I think you were sharing with us too, me and Linda, before we started, about that's kind of where Nick was involved, right?
So, I mean, Nick being Nick, who he is, right? So we know that Nick has an engineering background and always trying to look to make things like the most successful as possible. And so I remember him saying that cruise team, it would kind of rotate through like the sales guide. So like somebody would go out maybe once every 3 to 6 months on a cruise, where he started running the numbers saying, if we had a dedicated team of people who would go out probably every other week, we could really focus in on reaching the guests in a proper way, doing a right presentation, really increasing the revenue and reaching our perfect clientele. And so he was with one of the directors at Disney, and they got together and they presented like a dedicated cruise team, which now has become the DVC cruise team.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is...
And we stepped into that when it was the dedicated. We were fortunate to come in, and it was, you left your land roll and you got on the ship. And we were out, every other week, or you could be home for 3 or 4 days, then out again. But
it was one of those things, too, where you had to have it in your blood. I mean, with Linda's operatic background, and Marissa was on stage on the ships, and me, I'm just a ham, so I was just happy to do it. But they literally, part of getting onto that cruise team was there's a script, because you're doing presentations in front of, a lot of people. So as opposed to different when Linda was on land for so many years, where she would just meet the guests and the families
Right
kind
there.
of one-on-one. This was, hey, here's a script, basically, that's approved by the Disney compliance team. So we want you to go ahead and basically almost audition for it, right? I mean, did you have to audition in front of people?
You absolutely did audition, and there were maybe spotty people in there, like your managers, one of the talent people, and you went and you did this audition. But what was great about those presentations, I have to say, and I know you all felt it, is that when we went into D Lounge, which is one of our places that we did the shows, you could touch the lives of so many people at one time. I mean, in the old days, it was 40, 50, 60 people in the room for your major C-Day show. And, you know, it was interactive and they were immersed in it, and you had beautiful presentations going on behind you, and you could put your personality into it as well, which was fun.
Yes.
We did that. But that's what I enjoyed. Yeah. And then those people, they left that room very educated, very pixie dusted, and then they took a time. And they wanted to come sit down and meet us individually. And that's where we could really individualize the process for them. And that was really great.
And that was the goal of these shows. I mean, it's not just to get up there and entertain and everything else. The goal of that show was to basically give them enough information in a group setting, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people would be scared about learning about Disney Vacation Club on land. Like, I don't want to go to a timeshare presentation. Yeah. Someone's going to lock me in a room for 8 hours and make me buy it. So this concept, like Linda said, of a group setting, right? It's casual. Hey, come to the D Lounge this afternoon at 1 o'clock and we'll have free drinks and maybe a raffle. But we would have a show, and that show was basically, hey, this... I think Marissa actually brought the little pamphlet book where we would hand out these little books.
These beautiful had folios.
When we had those.
And inside you'd have so as a guest coming into the show, you'd get a drink. Yep. You'd get entered in to win a $200 credit, which in a group of 30 to 60, you had decent odds. Yep. And then you'd get one of these beautiful folios with a pen inside, pad of paper, your own point chart, and you'd really get set up for success. And like you were saying, I think what's so interesting just about DVC in general, many of us have walked by those kiosks, right? And you see them in Disney World and you go, but that would take time out of my vacation to drive somewhere outside of Disney World. It was a little like clunky when you look at kind of that versus people come on a cruise and on a sea day, right? Yep. They're doing, maybe they've done bingo and maybe they've done towel folding, but they have that gap where nothing's going on. It could be a windy day up on the deck, so they're not sunbathing, and they go, well, there's a DVC presentation, I've always kind of wanted to learn, and there's no commitment. You come in, you have a great time. Like Linda said, you hear a beautiful presentation. You get to know everything you need to know about DVC. And then if you want to learn more, you have that opportunity.
Up to a point, right? Right. Yeah, you learn as much as you can.
Right.
But then our job was to basically leave just enough that if you want...
To customize.
Exactly.
And so I think that's what's cool is that you could go in and you could say, you know what, after this
it's
hour,
not for
this
me.
Isn't for me. And you're not locked in or have to do that awkward, like, how do I leave the room now, right? Like, you choose that next step. So I think that's what made that cruise team so special.
Yeah.
We put the breadcrumbs down.
Yes.
That's what that show is about, right? You put the breadcrumbs down, and then they pick up so much, and then at the end they decide, I kind of want that peanut butter and jelly now.
What would a monthly payment look like?
Yeah.
Or how would I afford this? Or what's the right package for me? And that's what our goal was to, and I'm sure for anybody that's been on a ship, you've seen that little board. I wish we had one here. We should have taken a time board.
The opportunity board when it was all said and done.
An opportunity board, because Disney, we put flowery language on everything. Opportunity board, and you'd see times on there, right? With magnets for 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, for every hour in the hour. So the goal was, we'd be on stage doing our presentation, and throughout we'd plant those seeds of like, hey, if you want to get more info, if you want to see what a monthly payment looks like, if you have specific questions, we'll grab a time, and don't wait till the end of the cruise because we get crazy busy. So for us, our high per se, at least for me, being on stage would be when you could tell that the audience was taking notes and they're getting engaged. And then the first time you mention that board and you mention the power of it and get your questions answered, and then you'd slowly start to see families get up. And then the first person would get up and grab a time, and then you'd see one spouse would whack the other one and say, go get the 3 o'clock one. And then by the time the show was done, if all of those times were gone, it was like, oh, you got like goosebumps. I mean, it was the best.
Then you'd have the wait lists.
Yeah, and you always had to add about those magnets. Remember what you always said? Now, guys, don't take these magnets home. There's no value on eBay for the magnet.
Because they were little Mickey-shaped magnets.
They cut those out.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
They took away Mickey because people were stealing them. So now they're just ovals.
Where's our 3 o'clock appointment? Oh, they're just in their stateroom selling this magnet.
Got to order some more magnets.
On eBay.
Speaking of magnets, one way we would call out that people were members on the cruise was by magnets on their door. So funny enough, preparing for this show, I went through like my office to figure out anything Disney Cruise Line related. I did find a receipt for the month of April of my time working on the Disney Fantasy. I spent $1,500 at the Cove Cafe, one trip to the Census Spa. So if you want to know my addiction to coffee is real, I have proof. That was 2013. I found finance sheets to Grand Floridian being $165 a point. direct.
Oh my gosh.
So that was way back when. But what I did find was a schedule. This is actually my first week as a DVC guide on the Disney Wonder. So it was my first week out.
Oh, cool.
But it's kind of a schedule of like what we would do. So Derek and Linda kind of you'd get on a cruise, you pack up, you go to the port. Walk us through like what that week would look like.
So I will even start by saying what's interesting, because cruise guides would basically find out what their life was going to be like, right?
For the next 6 months.
For the next 6 months or so. And you'd get a schedule. And everybody would wait with bated breath to see when's the schedule coming out. When's the schedule coming out? And it was done behind, locked rooms with armed guards and putting whoever's going to sail with so-and-so. Because, again, you had so many chess pieces of vacation club guides and advanced sales associates that they would figure out, right? You'd make your requests and say, I'd really like this one or that one. But they would take all the information, jumble it all together, and then boom, that email would come out on Friday, and you'd all of a sudden click on it and realize where you're going for the next 6 months. Because I remember specifically joining this team back when I did, and the very first time that schedule came out, I was at like my son's basketball game or something, and I happened to look, and I'm like, okay, so in July I'm in Europe for 2 weeks, then I'm home for 3 days.
Then flying out to Alaska.
Then I go to Alaska for this. My wife's going to kill me. Am I home during the anniversary? Oh, thank God I don't miss the anniversary. But really, Linda, I mean, and Marissa, that's what it was like, right? When you got that schedule, you went ship to ship. Like, we were not assigned one specific ship. So it wasn't like Linda only worked the Fantasy, Marissa only worked the Wonder. It was all of them.
Funny enough, I finished out my time as a DVC guide on cruise line when I was pregnant with my son Caden. And so my son Caden has been on every Disney cruise ship in my belly. So I was not on one ship. I bounced around all of them.
But yeah, Linda, we know. So let's just say, for example, for a lot of us, the Fantasy is always very near and dear to us because A, it's a beautiful ship, and B, it's a 7-night cruise to the Caribbean. So from a business perspective, it was always
high volume.
It was a high volume.
High volume.
Great guests. And yeah, it started off on that Saturday. So Fantasy's always left on a Saturday, and you'd pack up your stuff,
Oh my
gone,
gosh.
and
Yeah,
drive
it was
to the port.
90 minutes, and so I'd get up early and, make sure I got a hold of the pet sitter because she was coming in to stay for the week, and then drive to the port, and my mind was clicking in, okay, here we go. Here we go.
And you'd get there about what time?
Oh gosh, I would get there usually. Oh, I'm trying to remember what time I would get there, but I'd get there before you could actually board.
Right.
Was it boarding around 11 or 12? I want to say
something like that. But I'd get there a little bit ahead. I was always afraid I'd have a flat tire or something crazy like that on the way to the port, right? So I would get there, and you go through. I went through the regular line.
Yeah.
Nobody knew. Go through just what everybody else, stand in line, go through. But where everybody else went and where we went was completely different. So now we're going downstairs to deck 2, midship. And we got 3 offices. We got 2 guide offices for us, and we've got a QA that's going to do the closings for us. We drop our bags, and then we get out our schedule. We have our little team meeting. We're figuring out what we're going to do. This is what's important. Here's the time of the show. And it was great.
Because that first show was always the member show.
The member show was
so
first.
it was such a rush, right? Because you'd get in, you'd leave from Orlando or wherever you were at, you'd drive to the port, you'd get in, you'd throw your stuff in, you'd have to be ready because you were doing a presentation that afternoon before boat drill, which is like you're tight. And then you had to go down to the loading dock area and pick up all of your collateral. Yeah. So you're sweating. You've got like the big pulley, your pulling boxes, your slicing boxes open, and then every member would get a magnet on their door as they were coming on the ship. So you'd be running throughout the entire ship. Every floor.
We get asked that all the time. Like when members would then come to the member celebration, right? Because they would show up by the time they checked in and got to their stateroom, there's a lovely little magnet, right?
And an
invitation to come to the party. That's at 3:30 was that party?
Yep.
I can't remember. Yeah, so 3:30. And then members would say, oh my God, that's so great. Like that.
They loved it.
How do you guys do that? And we'd say, well,
welcome to the
party. We did. You'd have a list of every member for every single stateroom, right?
Oh my gosh! And the Fantasy had so many members. I mean, I think we did New Year's Eve cruise one time, and there were 350 staterooms of members alone.
And you would literally sit with your partner, whoever it was, at the time. So before it,
you take a highlighter.
You take a highlighter and say, okay,
rooms,
I will do decks 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh, it was so crazy, and it was manic. But then you got to finally do the member show, right? So you finally calm down. everybody's outside the D lounge, and now you just basically hope that members show up, right? So obviously we wanted to entertain them. We wanted to entertain them. But of course, like Disney, we're not just there to entertain. We want to show you what a fantastic way to add magic to your membership would be by doing so on this cruise. Yep. That was the end result, obviously, but being there up front when everything's delivered and you start to see the line of members that would be waiting outside to come inside. For me, personally, I was a member junkie. Like, I loved doing the member celebrations.
Derek was a member junkie. Derek still is a member junkie.
I'm still a member junkie. I loved doing those celebrations and finding out, when you talk to them before the show started on, hey, where are you from? Or what number of cruise is this for you? And that, for all of us, was just the best part because you'd meet friends and you'd meet members that you're spending a week with them, you know? So you'd see them throughout the whole entire cruise. And that was just so much fun. Doing the member celebrations were always great. And then you'd have to immediately hope that all of those times, those appointments were gone, and then you'd rush to boat drill, which most people don't like to do a normal boat drill. But when you've done it 100+ times.
Well, and so that's the unique thing of working as guests on business is you're seen as a guest, right? So we would stay in guest staterooms, which is fantastic. We'd have beautiful rooms all to ourselves. Yes. But we'd have to follow the guest protocol. So it wasn't like when we're crew, we would do the boat drills and reminders once a month. But when you're a guest on board, every cruise you have to do it. So if you're doing a back-to-back 3-night, 4-night, in 1 week, you're doing 2 boat drills. So it's intense. Or if you're doing a back-to-back cruise, you have to disembark, go through customs, get back on the ship, but wait to board when it's boarding time at 11. So you're just stuck in the terminal. So it's a very different kind of environment to be in. You're encouraged to be out and socializing where as crew, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to stay away from guests, not to socialize. You don't ever have a drink or be out in public areas, versus we were kind of encouraged to do that, right?
We were cast on business.
Right, and so we would eat in the guest area. So that was even kind of crazy.
Yeah, people always ask that. Where do you sleep? They would come to our offices, right, for an appointment that were really cool offices. I mean, they were all decorated. Yeah, blue doors and pictures of walls and big giant flat screen TVs. And almost, I swear to God, at least 5 out of 10 times they'd walk into that appointment and see me, and I'd say, welcome, we're so glad you guys are here. And they'll be like,
do you sleep
here? I'd be like, no, I don't sleep here. Do you sleep behind that curtain? Like,
because there was a wall, and they thought there must be a bathroom and a bed back there, and no, that's not what we do.
No, we had our own staterooms, right? We had, and like Marissa said, we got to eat in the restaurants. Now, that's an interesting point. Could we technically eat in the restaurants? Yes. Would we really want to eat in the restaurant, say, for dinner? And the answer would be no, because that means no one's meeting with you to talk about the magic of Disney Vacation Club. So we would prefer to be in the office and not have to go to the restaurant because we want to be meeting.
Absolutely. And we always had the later seating. It was always 8:30. I don't know about you. That feels like a rock in my stomach. But so I really wasn't. But the thing of it is when you didn't have that appointment, it was fun as a team to go because we had a special table there. And we take our phones because if someone walked up and they wanted to see us, we would just get up and go. And everybody always asked
You'd shove that ahi tuna tower in your mouth.
I was going to say that. Yeah,
Rush
that
down
was
to
my
deck
favorite. We would get 2 and 3 ahi tuna towers at a time and soy sauce and take it back to the office and hide it around there. But, I mean, it was a wonderful experience. But we were always available to the guest. That was the most important thing is we were there for them. But I have to say the members were just, every time I sat with a member, it was just, they were family.
Yeah.
I was on a cruise with you, Linda. I think it was maybe our first cruise together. And it was a heavy member cruise. Like there was time, it wasn't a official member cruise.
It was a fantasy.
But it was on a fantasy. There were hundreds of members, and Linda is like a member magnet, and we went downstairs and there is this lineup of these ladies outside Linda's door.
I know.
And they're not looking to buy, they just want to talk to Linda. And Linda, one by one, and they'd come knock on my door and they'd be like, do you know, is Linda on this cruise? Is there a Linda? And I was like, next door. That
did happen. And they're just adorable people. And they get to know you. They really get to know you. And even though after hours, like when we'll be done, maybe Castaway, because we could not present and sit down with members in port days.
In port days, right. People always ask that. What do you guys do on port days?
Well, that's the unique thing about timeshare, because timeshare is not always registered in certain countries. It's not registered in certain waterways. So you'd have to be, if you were sitting in international waters, you wouldn't be able to talk to anybody about DVC. Right. If you were sitting in U.S. waters and you didn't have this type of thing, or you couldn't notarize here. So there was a ton of different unique rules you'd have to follow on cruise line.
It was true. And, the interesting thing, my bill would have been, compared to your bill, probably half the cove and half the spa.
Yeah.
But I always, you just got to be careful, because what you say, what you do, because even in the downtime, like I remember one day going to the spa, and I'm sure this happened to you as well, is I had my little Mickey pants on, and which I collect those, and not my business attire, and I'm on the way to the spa, and I hear, hey, there's that Disney lady. So they know you. They totally know who you are.
Linda, wouldn't you go to the spa? Would you get a
scalp massage?
Yes.
I totally did. You have such a good memory.
Scalp
That
massage.
was my favorite thing, to do a scalp massage, and reflexology. I loved it. And I don't know if I ever got you to do it.
No.
You were always afraid for people to touch your hair.
No, Derek just wouldn't spend the money. He wouldn't go to Cove.
Even a gift
he wouldn't go to the
certificate wouldn't
spa.
work.
I
for
got
him.
the free coffee on deck 9. I was fine with that. Bring a big old thermos, fill it up for free. She'd be drinking her $84, latte maca Kikos or whatever they're called. I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm just going to drink my big old free coffee, because it's interesting. People would ask and say, oh my God, it's a sea day. So that's got to be kind of nice for you guys, right? Like, because we're a guest and sea days are our favorite because we relax. It's the opposite. When you're on the cruise team,
8 to faint.
sea days are like, here we go. Yeah, 8 to faint. I like that.
Was
You're
it
up
8
in the
to
morning. You'll do at least, 2 presentations, right?
Yeah.
Two big shows.
And
If
these,
you don't have sit-downs before that.
yeah,
True.
because you might have had
Yeah, the
already
leftovers.
leftover members, right, from the previous that maybe want to come back and maybe purchase, wanted to sleep on it. Then you'd have to do an entirely brand new presentation, because this one's for folks that were learning about what Disney Vacation Club is, right, for the first time. So then you'd gear up, find your partner, whoever that was, kind of run through the presentation. You'd head on up, do the, hey, same old show, right? But you're just hoping that people are there, right? Because it's a sea day. And sometimes, being selfish, we would kind of go up top on deck 9 and go, ugh, it's so pretty out here. Because that would mean everyone's going to want to be on the deck and sunning and enjoying it.
It's going to take away from our sit-down count.
We'd say, oh, it's beautifully overcast. This is going to be a great show. So then we'd hope that people would come to the show, and then we would again do the same thing again. We'd have that magnet board up there. We do our meetings with appointments. But yeah, sea days are crazy long days.
Do you guys remember your woulda, coulda, shoulda family script?
Oh yeah. I think I do. Oh my God!
Could you do it really quick?
Oh my gosh, it was rather lengthy. It was all an economic story. It was about economics.
I think I remember the woulda,
But
coulda.
not the economic part. The part where the family who
Yeah.
should have bought.
So these families come down. Now I want you guys to be prepared.
Just do the short version for our guests, because if anybody's on the edge of buying Disney Vacation Club, I feel like this is like if you're thinking about buying, this is why.
By the time I'm done, you guys may want to grab a time off my time board. By the time I'm done,
Call Derek.
No, but that was always one of my favorite parts of the show, because we would talk to the guests. And I think from what I remember, it's been quite a while, but it would be like, now folks, we know you're on vacation, right? So odds are you're thinking, you know what, this club sounds amazing. It sounds great, but you know what, Derek, Linda, Marissa, I got the info. I'm just going to take this information home. We're going to get off the ship. We're just going to think about it, but I promise you, we're going to call you. We're going to call you next week, because I know that this is a great fit. So thank you so much for your time, but I'm just going to go home and think about it. So guess what happens to that family, right? Guess what happens to that family that goes home and they think about it is they all of a sudden walk in that door and they've got mail, and all of a sudden the kids are back in school and they've got to go back to work and they forgot about the club, right? They see that information and they go, oh, I got to call Linda. I totally forgot that. I'm going to do that tomorrow. And they don't, but they wind up back at Walt Disney World, right? Maybe a year, maybe they're on the cruise ship again, and they look, maybe they're at Walt Disney World, and all of a sudden they have a great trip and they're walking through the park and they see that kiosk, right? And they go, hey, that's at Disney. I remember meeting with Linda when I was on that boat. You know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to those Disney Vacation Club folks about it, because we should have joined when we were on that cruise ship, right? But we didn't. So they sit down with a Vacation Club guide and they run through, and guess what? It's probably more expensive than it was. And then they might say, well, hey, do I still get those same promotions that they had when I was on the ship? Because those were great promotions. And I meant to do it, but I didn't. And they say, no, you don't get those promotions. So now that family has paid more, right? What was the rest of it, right? It was something like you slide the member family.
Oh, that was
the member family.
Which one was that one?
Linda did the best member family.
The member family was the story, a magical story of a member. And mine grew up. Do we have hours?
Are you talking about Ted O'Leary?
Yeah, Ted O'Leary. That O'Leary family was wonderful. They're just so sweet. And now the great grandkids are doing this. But Ted came to see me many, many years ago in Vero Beach, Florida. And he was staying down the road, had a beautiful home there, lived up north, a home up there. And he came and he said, you know what? I can never get my kids together all at one time, and I can just give them money, but they'll go spend that money. I want to give them a gift of vacation. So he ended up buying, and what we decided to do is I helped him book his first Disney Vacation Club stay on his points the following year. And what he had done is he had called and said, Linda, could I have like 3 of those planners? At the time, we had these big planners that we'd send to the home.
Oh, dream
I
books.
said, what do you need 3 of them? And he goes, well, I'm going to wrap them up and put them, dream books, put them under the Christmas tree as a Christmas present. I said, well, that sounds pretty cool. And so he did that, and Christmas morning, the adult kids come running down under the tree with the grandkids, and there are those 3 beautiful boxes, all with Disney paper and ribbons and bows. And they went right to those first and pulled off that paper, and inside those boxes were those beautiful planners. And his oldest son, Michael, said, Dad, what is that? It says Disney Vacation Club. I thought I told you, never go buy a timeshare. And he said, well, son, that's not really what it ends up to be. And his son said, well, great. Well, now you've done this. Let's just go make a reservation. He said, well, you can't do that. I've already done it. And do you know that for Thanksgiving of the very next year in 1996, I'll never forget this family today, he took 17 people to Disney World on his points. They went to Key West for half of the stay. They had 2 bedrooms. And then they brought everybody over to Vero Beach where I got to meet the rest of the family. And they had Thanksgiving dinner around that table together. And the magic that they had, and I got to see him after Thanksgiving, and I said, Ted, you know what? What was that like? And he goes, it was absolutely incredible. And I said, would you ever trade that for what your experience was? And I said, Linda, I would not trade that for a leprechaun's pot of gold, that family time. And those bricks are still there under the royal palm tree in Vero Beach with his children's names on those bricks laid right there on the back of the resort, and probably will be there forever and ever. And that story I love to share, and others, and we all have our member stories, but that was one of the most meaningful, and it was 3 generations worth of magic coming to Disney together for the first time as Disney Vacation Club members. You just don't forget stuff like that.
You don't. I mean, it brings me like teary because I remember just now that we're kind of talking about those member stories and all that. I remember when I was selling DVC in Chicago, and that's what it reminded me of. I had this great family, and they came in, and they had heard about the club but never wanted to do it. I mean, this was 10 plus years ago, and they purchased it, and they were so sweet and so happy. And then I remember getting, like a year later, I got a letter in the mail that was sent to the store, and it said, hey, Derek, we just wanted to let you know that, we bought with you last year. I don't know if you remember. And they gave me their names, and then they said, unfortunately, my wife passed away 6 months after they purchased it, and they had 2 little kids. But he said, what we are writing you is to let you know, it just gets me so emotional. Like, what we wanted to let you know is if we didn't buy this membership and purchase it with you, we wouldn't have gone to Disney World a few weeks ago with the kids. And so what they did, they sent a picture of the dad, and the 2 little kids were holding a picture of their mom standing in front of Cinderella Castle. And they said, if it wasn't for Disney Vacation Club, we'd be in mourning. But because we had this membership, we know that their mom would want them to have these vacations for generations to come. And so that's what makes it just so amazing, is that what we get to do, it's just such a...
To change people's lives.
To change people's lives.
It really does.
Well, and that was like what was so cool about being on a cruise ship, right? Because you would sit and you'd have hundreds of members, and you'd really get enriched with so many great stories and relationships and memories. I mean, the people you met on the ships are people who you won't forget, right?
No.
And so that, like, I think we love being able to, through resale, be able to reconnect, but every now and then doing things like these shows kind of brings us back to kind of that cruise
It does.
feeling of presentations and reaching out and being able to share those memories.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And when you can go on a ship, say the Fantasy, and you go with 5 team members, you become your family there for a week.
That's so true.
And it's a wonderful thing how we all worked so well together to achieve that goal, bringing those people to the shows, sending them down. But it truly, truly made magic. And I know we were always up late at night, right? That last night of the cruise would be 1 a.m.
That's shaky
2
just
a.m.
even
in the
thinking
morning.
about it.
And I was that crazy one that probably went to bed the latest because I made it my goal to put a thank you card on every single person's fish before I got off the ship.
That's how it was.
I had to.
Because it was that on every cruise. I don't care if it was a 3-night dream or if it was a 14-night trip to the moon. It was, that last night was, okay, here was the goal that Disney wanted us to do. So you'd sit with your team that you spent the entire cruise with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you spend
It's
more
your
time.
family.
When I look back on my time there, I spent more time than I do with my own family, right? Because you would do so much together and you just wanted to accomplish so much that at the end, there's no better feeling at the end of that cruise when you'd sit in that office and say, okay, how many lives did we change? And did we, meet our goal? And we did, and we would celebrate.
Cruise report.
And just be so happy about it, because that's probably the most underestimated part that I think I miss the most is, I miss that camaraderie, of being able to have 5 people set out with a cruise goal of whatever that is. And you start at 0. And then by the time you leave that ship, it's the best feeling in the world to say, God, I not only changed so many lives, but I had a great time with my team.
Traveling the world, doing crazy activities, because we couldn't work in the port, so you really got to go. You'd hang out. This was your family. You'd go and have meals together in Grand Cayman, or you'd go rock climbing in Alaska.
You'd take the best naps in Nassau.
But
or spa.
On that note, we do have a long-standing tradition, Linda, of this or that.
Oh, we do.
And Derek has prepared a cruise version. Now, have you ever played this or that?
I have. So I'm somewhat ready. I know
right.
I've got to be quick, right?
No details, no explanation.
That's the big one. No
name
explanation
it.
needed.
All right.
For this blonde gone pink.
So we just want one answer for each question. This
Okay.
is the long-standing tradition of this or that.
Yes.
Gotta be this or that.
Oh, good. I was hoping that Jeff was going to play that song. Here we go, Linda. Ready?
Ready.
Here we go. Disney Magic or the Disney Wonder?
Wonder.
Palo or Remy?
Palo.
Cabana's breakfast or Cabana's lunch?
Cabana's lunch.
Alaska on the Disney Wonder or Europe on the Magic?
Wonder. Alaska.
Animator's Palette or Enchanted Garden?
Enchanted
I know.
Garden.
That was a
Tuna
no-brainer.
Tower.
All right. Castaway Key. Do you get a cabana or just lay on the adult beach?
Lay on the adult beach.
Marissa, do you want to take over?
Okay. Disney Fantasy 7-night or Disney Dream Castaway Double Dip?
Fantasy 7-night.
She's like, you mean personally, or am I selling on it?
The Tube on the Fantasy or Fathoms on the Magic?
Probably Tube on the Fantasy.
Room service or late night snacks outside of the Tube?
Oh, room service.
Star Wars cruise or Marvel cruise?
Star Wars.
Coffee from Vista Cafe or Cove. Coffee from Vista Cafe in the Atrium or coffee from Cove Cafe?
Coffee from Cove.
Cruising with Derek or cruising with Derek?
I put that one in there.
Derek, my cruise husband.
You won. That was the perfect answer on that one. Now that one you can elaborate on if you'd like.
Yeah, thanks, Derek.
But we don't have that much time.
To go with our long-standing tradition, I would love to hear, just kind of quickly from each of you, what was your favorite cruise memory?
Oh my. Like cruise itself or just cruise memory?
I mean, maybe favorite cruise, like destination, and then favorite memory.
Do you want to start, Linda?
Oh, sure, but there's several. But to get down, just to kind of share, my first Alaskan cruise was just earth-shattering for me. I'd never been to that part of the world, and it was early in my cruise career. Had a great team out there. I'm a big animal person, real big. So when we got out there on the ship, and I looked, when we were in Alaska, in the sky, and there's like 40 bald eagles flying around, was incredible. But the biggest trip for me was to go with the team to see the humpback whales and the bubble netting activity.
Right. Yeah,
And if you don't know what that is, it is a little bit hard to explain it. But you go out on a chartered little boat, and they take you out where they know the whales are, and you see the seagulls flying around, and they know where the whales are. So they take you there, and all of a sudden you're looking at this beautiful area, beautiful mountains, and 10 ginormous humpback whales would come out of the water and, grab their food. And you just sit there. And it could be from here to the wall or 20 feet away. And then you'd look over, and then there's a seal over here and maybe a killer whale. You got to see that. But to me, that was just like, and they told me that a lot of times when you go out on those, you don't necessarily see the whales. You don't get to do it. For me, on my first Alaskan cruise, my first trip to see the bubble netting, we saw a huge amount of whales. And just everybody's face looking at the boat was just like in complete awe.
You know who arranged that? I did.
You did?
That's not true. That's such a lie.
That's why she likes cruising with Derek.
Derek would have never planned anything.
I wouldn't have planned anything. I would have been like, what are we doing? How much does it cost? Oh, I don't know.
We'll give a shout out to Sarah Pitak, because guaranteed she arranged that.
It was actually Harv and Marv. That was the company we used first.
I think for me, probably just because growing up right outside Chicago and Indiana kid, I think the first time I got to go to Europe was incredible. Just because I got to bring my wife. Now we've been together 25 years, but for both of us, just being high school sweethearts, and I remember this feeling all of a sudden stepping off. It was a 14-night Baltic cruise, right? So it went all throughout the Baltic region, and then it wound up in Russia. I remember stepping foot off the boat in St. Petersburg, Russia, and I just remember turning to my wife and saying, "Do you believe it? Like, what are we doing here? Like, not only are we in Russia, but we're actually, this is part of my job, right? And so it was great to be able to not only see all these ports and those people that we cruised with, and Linda and I got to do a European one the year after that, which was just as great. So that was just awesome too. But it was just so incredible to just be able to say that, this is what we're doing, and we're able to just change lives. And for me, it was awesome because I was gone so much on these cruises that my wife got to be there. So she got to come to the shows, right? And so she got to come watch and see, oh, this is what my husband does. Now, it was a very successful cruise, so I didn't get to see her a lot, which was okay. But those times on land, and that to me was just one of those moments where it was like, what happened? How did I win the lottery? So yeah, that was crazy.
Very blessed to have that.
I would have to agree with you in terms of location, Linda. Doing Alaska, and just, there's so many magical moments that like you can look back and go, I would have never done that on a normal day.
True.
So Alaska, I would say if you haven't done an Alaska cruise, do it. Reach out to our rental store and do a cruise swap if you have points. That's the best way to do it. But I would say for like memory-wise, so my husband and I, who had both worked on the ships together for many years, but when we had actually just got engaged, we were going to go work on the Disney Magic, and they had double booked us with another couple that was supposed to do our job.
I remember
so we got sent to the Disney Magic, and we were out there in Europe. We flew into Barcelona, we get on the ship, and we see this other couple on board who were doing our job.
Oh, dear.
So we called the home office and we were like, what are we doing here? And they were like, sorry, we didn't realize the other couple was staying on for 5 more weeks. So here's a guest cabin up on deck 7, and just stay on the Mediterranean for 5 weeks. We'll give you like a small monthly salary.
I mean, that would never happen to me.
And so we, as like newly engaged couple, spent 5 weeks in the Med, traveling through Italy and the south of France. I mean, it was incredible. Like, what a way to start kind of your marriage together.
That's amazing.
So it was really, really special. We'll always look back on that as super fond memories.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. And one thing I just want to throw in real quick about Alaska is that everything tastes different, guys, out there, because the glacier water, right? I mean,
the beer, the food, everything.
Everything. And
I can
there's where
vouch for the beer.
Crab legs really are, that are about that big. But anyway, I threw that in.
Well,
I loved it.
Finishing off with our Thanksgiving cruise edition. This has been super fun. And again, we do want to give away one beautiful prize to one of our families listening. So very, very simple. All we need you to do is give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And again, for each and every one of you participating, we're going to be giving $10 for every form of participation to Give Kids the World. So again, we'd love to make that a huge number by the end of this month. So make sure, again, you're commenting, thumbs up, and email us at info@worldofdvc.com. And we're going to pick out one lucky winner to win a beautiful prize basket as well.
And that prize basket does not include include 5 weeks in the Med. I just want or bubble netting with whales and dolphins. No, it's a beautiful gift basket. It's a beautiful gift basket. But what's that?
Did you hear that?
What is that? It's time.
Story time with Sue.
Story time with Sue. Take it away, Sue.
Welcome to Story Time with Sue. Today I'd like to share some stories about my cruises on the Disney cruise ships. I've done 21 cruises on all the ships, and I've done 3 inaugurals. Well, 2 now, and the Wish will be coming up this summer. I've done the Dream and also the Fantasy, and it was wonderful being on inaugural cruises. Why? Because first of all, they start you off with a glass of champagne in one of the inaugural glasses, and you get to buy such cool merchandise that they have for the inaugural cruises. So all in all, it was wonderful. And on top of that, you get to meet some wonderful people. When I was on the inaugural of the Dream and we were coming into Costa Maya, I was on the top deck, wanted to see us coming into that port, had never been there. So I'm on the top deck, and the top deck overlooks where the Walt Suite is. And down on the Walt Suite was Bob Iger. And Bob was out there with his cup of coffee, and he's watching us come into port. He looks up at me and said hi, had no idea who I was, and just started a conversation asking about how I liked the cruise and was this the first time I was in Costa Maya. And we were talking about the ship and how beautiful the ship was. And it was just like me talking to you. It was a wonderful conversation. And I could see his passion for Disney. So made that moment coming into Costa Maya a little extra special for me. Another cruise that I remember was a members cruise, and Art Linkletter was on that members cruise. Art had been great friends with Walt, and he talked to all the members about some of his experiences. Well, this one night, my husband and I were going to Palos, and we stopped at one of the bars to have a cocktail before dinner, and we sat down right next to Art. And as we got to talking to Art, and he was asking us questions, we asked him some more questions about his relationship with Walt. And during the conversation, he shared with us the only regret he had in his relationship with Walt. And it just stuck with me. Apparently, when Walt was building Disneyland in California, as you know, Walt needed money for that project. And a lot of people turned him down. Well, he went to his friend Art and Art's wife and asked if they would contribute towards building of Disneyland. And Art looked at him and said, nope, can't do it. He said, I just don't think that this is going to work out. I think this is a dream, but an amusement park for adults, not going to work. So he said, no, I won't contribute, but I will broadcast on opening day. I will be your MC and broadcast for you if you'd like. And Walt took him up on that. Well, as you know, Disneyland was a huge success, and he always regretted the fact that he didn't give Walt any money. So one day Walt came to him and sat down at lunchtime with him and talked to him about a new project, and that was Disney World in Florida. As he's talking to him, Art pulls out a checkbook from his pocket, and he said, I was ready to write him a check for whatever he wanted. And I said, how much do you want, Walt? And he looked at me and he said, not this time. Don't need it, Art. I've got all the money I need. And he said that was the regret that he had, that he didn't get in on the ground floor in one, and he missed the second one altogether. So going on Disney cruises, whether they're member cruises, inaugural cruises, or just a regular Disney cruise, it's magical. And if you have a chance of doing it, I highly suggest it. The service, the food, the characters, and just the Disney pixie dust that's all around you. In the meantime, being that this is a Thanksgiving show, we thought we would give back a little more to you. So instead of just offering one prize for this show, which is that 50th anniversary basket of goodies, we are going to offer 3 prizes, so 3 winners. And it's going to consist of the 50th anniversary merchandise, plus the Disney nesting dolls from one of the inaugurals, and the 2 Disney Dream champagne flutes that have the inaugural date right on them. So you can win one of 3 prizes. Just go to info@worldofdvc.com. Send us that email and we will randomly pick 3 winners. In the meantime, sleep well and pleasant dreams.
Well, you guys, I wanted to pop back on and just say what a great show. Great walk down memory lane, and I think we all want to take a cruise now.
I know.
Linda, thank you so much for coming on and being our special guest. You
My pleasure.
Outstanding.
Pleasure anytime.
Thank you so much. And we have a long-standing tradition.
Oh, that's right.
A long-standing tradition.
We've done this for how many episodes now?
7. This will be 7.
7.
Yeah.
Wow,
Here we go,
lucky
Kerri.
7.
Ready?
Happy Thanksgiving!
And we'll see you real soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Please remove your headphones, step back into reality, have a magical day, and we'll see you real soon.